All right, guys. um, then I got to turn around and go to uh, Ohio, and then from Ohio I'll get to go back home. Roughly, I might have an extra load in there somewhere, but I got to go pick up the registration for the truck at home. They mailed it to my house. But just wanted to give you guys kind of an update on how that went. Um, it was actually really nice weather all the way over there. Beautiful weather actually up until my way out. Wyoming had to try to get me stuck there. Didn't let it happen though. Just wind, and that was pretty much it. Um, from there, I went to uh, some town in Wyoming, picked up the load I got now. Now I'm heading east again. But just kind of wanted to update you guys on anything and let you guys know I'm still alive and I'm still willing to make videos. So I'll leave the channel open here for a minute and see how you guys do with it and see what you guys want to hear about. So I'll keep my eyes open for the comment section there, and we'll see where it goes, huh? Let me move you guys over a little bit as far as I can. There. That way I can kind of see. Give you a little bit better angle of me. There we go. But, yeah, we're moving right along and through Nebraska. I started on the east side of Nebraska. I'm short on hours, so I'm trying to keep things moving. Hi, David. It's good. Like I said, just went through Wyoming, Nebraska. I'm in Nebraska right now. I'm trying to keep this at a better angle for you guys. I'm sorry. Um, but it was a good run. Got everything taken care of. Got it delivered an hour before it needed to be there. So feel pretty good about that. They took the load anyways. Um, even though it was an hour early. A lot of the companies, you have a set appointment time, and they have problems with that if you show up early, and they don't like you showing up early. Let me move you back over here. See if that helps out. And so that's a lot of the what I'm worried about a lot of the times is, are they going to accept me an hour early, or am I going to sit there and waste part of my 14-hour clock? And that's a lot of my problem. Um, but again, I work for a company called J&R Schugel. Very good company. I really do enjoy them. Um, I like my truck. I am busy always. I'm always getting my loads. So if you guys are ever looking for a company to work for starting off, or you're looking to switch companies for one, I am doing a little bit of advertisement because I do get money from this if you guys do sign on with Schugel. Go to J&R Schugel and apply. It always, they're willing to accept. They're always hiring new drivers. They're always buying new trucks. We try to flip on or get new trucks, new drivers, only because we're expanding at an impressive rate, and we don't have enough drivers for it. And that's the thing: is nowhere in the world or in this country is there enough drivers. There's companies shutting down because companies like Schugel, Schneider, Werner, Swift. As much as we hate that name, it scares us. Oh Lord, that's scary. Um, we we overtake the smaller companies. Smaller companies are great as long as they stay small and grow as they need to. Um, that's a lot of the issues. These companies buy these trucks and buy more trucks and buy more trucks and buy more trucks and buy more trucks. Well, they don't have the loads to back them up. They might have 5 loads or 5 contracts, but in that 5 contracts, you only need 3 trucks, and it lowers your cost. Or you might have 100 contacts, and you might only need 75, 80 trucks, and try to keep that down. So I'm really happy with J&R Schugel. I'm always moving. Never have an issue with my truck. I never have an issue with getting maintenance done on it. I'm on my way up to Wisconsin to actually get my mirror fixed. I think I said in the last video I was on that somebody pulled out of a truck stop and broke my mirror right apart. It was into shreds, pretty much. Well, the main glass piece was gone. The motor was gone. I still kept the cover that made it look pretty. That one was still good. The small glass piece was broken off. There's little screws that screw into the back. It broke the things off of that, so they need to replace the whole new glass piece. And so the motor inside there was broke. There's 4 little screws on the back of that one too, but I had to use the same motor because the Kenworth dealer didn't have the motor. So we just put it on there, and I have engineered it well to hold up. So it works good for right now. But I'm on my way to actually get it fixed so it's a little more stable, and I can adjust it up and down. I can adjust it side to side, but I can't adjust it up and down. I have to have it set in a fixed place. So I'm on my way to Tomah, Wisconsin. That's where one of the other Schuylkill yards are. But I'm always busy. I'm getting a lot better loads now that we are moving. My dispatcher actually gave me a live load and a drop and hook for this load. So I'm dropping this one and going. And my dispatcher changed it from a live load to a live unload to a live load and a drop. So that way I can keep moving a little bit better and keep a little more money in my pocket. The faster I get in and out, the faster I make money, the more money I make. So, good old loves. Also, Dave, the other thing, when you do get your CDL and you join J&R Schugel, you're going to go through training for about a year, or not a year, a month, sorry. And you'll go through that training for about a month. You have to log about 240 hours. And you have to drive 240 hours. I am a company driver. I'm looking into coming into lease a little bit later on. Only simply because I want some capital behind me and I want experience. So probably 2-3 years from here now, I'll probably join into lease and see how that goes, because I want to eventually own my own company. I want to get experience, and I want to be knowingly about what my routes are and stuff like that, because there's the GPS that Schuylkill provides for you is absolute trash. Let's put it that way, because it puts you in certain situations where a truck shouldn't be in. And so I want to figure out my own routes and better ways to get from point A to point B faster, better, easier. Well, right now, if I did that and I got in a predicament where I was in Maryland a couple weeks back and my GPS told me to go down this residential 2-lane, I ended up having to do a right-hand turn because I couldn't make a left-hand, I couldn't turn around, and I put the trailer into the ditch with a 40,000-pound load and ripped the tire off the rim. So that experience. Now I know where that place is, but don't want to do that on my own money. I don't want to have to do repairs on my money. I don't want to have to deal with that. So the better I learn to do it the right way and then do faster, better. And J&R Shugel, they are a good company to lease for, as far as I've heard. Um, so I want to try it and see how it goes, but I want to be a lot more experienced for it. Um, and back to the subject of training. You go through about a month, you have to log 240 hours on driving, not just on duty. And once you do that, they'll throw you in your own truck. At first, they'll do likely um, just live loads, live unload, short trips. You won't be making a lot of money at first, but they're just trying to see how you do, how your driving is, how is that. And at first, it's a struggle. I can tell you that because you're not knowing where these places are. You're not. You're. It's like flying out of the nest when you live on your own for a minute. You don't remember. You don't get the concept of buying the groceries, and you don't get the concept of paying the electric bill or the cable bill. You don't. You don't have that. You don't have somebody, the person that taught you, your trainer, there to kind of push you in the right direction. So you follow the GPS, and then you finally learn that the GPS is messed up, and then you kind of figure your own ways out with it. It's still a decent GPS, I won't lie, but would I rely on it? No. I'm going to get a Rand McNally GPS for about $300. They're anywhere from $300 to $500. So I'm looking right around 350, 300 to 350 range, just because I want a decent truck GPS. Um, so they're one of the best GPS companies out there. That's why I'm going with those. And so I really don't know how to put it other than don't follow the directions from to get to your pickup to get to your delivery. When you're within a certain range of your delivery, that's a no-no, and when you're in a certain range of your pickup, that's a no. Don't follow that because it puts you. When I picked the load up that went to Salt Lake City, and I got off the expressway, I turned right because there's a company called Toro. We've all heard of them, the lawn equipment. Um, and there's two of them in Toma. I never knew that, so I went to the one I knew about, and apparently, the GPS led me to the one I knew about, but apparently my load was on the other side of town. Not a big deal, but it is what it is. But the GPS, what I do is I'll look up where I'm going, adjust my markers on the GPS, and that way it leads me to where I need to go. Um, when it messes up and all that, I'm not horribly worried about it because I'm now double checking the GPS because I know it's unreliable. So I recommend that for sure. Um, when you're running out west like this to Wyoming, Salt Lake City, Nebraska, always, 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 always be prepared. I have plenty of water in the truck. I got food in my freezer back here. Always be prepared to be shut down. I always try to make it to a Love's. If you can't make it to a Love's, I got a PS3, and I can always buy movies from a truck stop. They always got movies. If I can make it to a Love's, well, um, I got games in there for my PS3 and stuff like that. And I'm always set up to be in a situation where I can stop for 24 hours, I can stop for 34, I can stop for 48, unless I'm low on fuel. There's certain situations where you'll run or be low on fuel, and you have to call the company and you say, okay, I-80 is shut down from here to here, or whatever road you're on, because of a storm or an accident or something. That happens a lot on I-80. They shut it down. So you call them up and you go, all right, I'm low on fuel and I can't make it there because it's shut down and I don't have enough. I don't think I have enough to idle or run there when it opens back up. So that's what I always try to do with that, as well as be good on fuel, and they're usually really good on it. I mean, this whole trip, I don't think I dropped below a quarter. The other thing is, the companies don't add, or like your fueling companies like Love's Pilot, TAs, Petros, they'll add anti-gel to the fuel already. So those won't gel up in the tanks. Your DEF, though, they'll gel up at pilots and all that. And I had that earlier. On this run, I was in. I think I got fuel in Iowa on I-35, just north of Des Moines, and yeah, that wasn't a good experience because we got charged for 7 gallons of DEF, which is like $25. So now you got to call the company and go, hey, we got an issue. 7 gallons was charged. What they had me do, and that way you guys know, is take a picture of your receipt, send it to the fuel desk so they can deal with it, and then you scan that receipt into your scanner onto your computer. And I wrote down did not get DEF, was charged for, and underlined it. That way they know that that's what happened, and they have a double reminder to check to make sure that was taken care of. So that's one thing. Another thing, and it's nothing J&R Schugel's fault is what it is. I just want you guys to know, when you run out west and you're up at, there on I-80, there's spots where the Continental Divide is right in Wyoming, runs right through Wyoming, and you're at 7,000 feet plus above sea level. Your heater does not work. Your bunk heater does not work above like 5,000 feet. I don't know why it doesn't. Other Schugel drivers I've heard don't have that issue. When I go to the terminal up here to get my mirror fixed, I'm going to mention that I had no heat, and I want them to look at it and figure out why, and see if there's an actual issue with my bunk heater, or if it's just because there's an altitude issue. Because there's 3 trucks I know of in this company that has this issue. A guy that we've heard about had the same issue. My trainer, when I ran out here, we had the same issue. We stayed in a hotel, and then my truck. But this time, I didn't stay in a hotel, only simply because that load that I was hauling was lawn equipment. There were multiple amounts of. There was a large dollar amount. I could have locked my truck and not done it or left it, but I'm very particular about my truck. I just stayed under 2 blankets, about a 12-volt heater, and stayed okay warm. But now that I'm lower in altitude, I'm only at roughly 1,500 feet. So my bunk heater will work out here. Don't have an issue with it. It works up in Minnesota, works over in the Appalachian Mountains, works in Michigan, works down south. It works everywhere besides out west. You drop just into Salt Lake City and your bunk heater works. So you go through Echo Canyon, or you run 87 north to 15 to drop into Salt Lake City. I ran Echo Canyon, which is a really tight run down the hill. 54 degrees and the motorcycles are out. I like that. Um, but I dropped down to Salt Lake City, sat at the place getting unloaded. I had heat. Went up into the mountains, didn't up Echo Canyon again, and didn't have heat. Ran into Nebraska. I was at 5,000 feet. Didn't have heat. Now that I'm down into 1,500 feet, I'll have heat. So it's something to be curious about. And when you run out here, be prepared. Because accidents happen out here a lot. They shut down I-80. You might be away from a hotel. So now you're stuck. What you can do is tell the company, hey, I need a service truck out here from Kenworth to unlock the governor code. Depends. Is I-80 shut down already back there to the or from there to here or there? You know, either way, here to there. If you're running backward, if they're behind you or they're in front of you. So now you got to figure out if that's possible for them to get to you. So I just toughed it out, you know, like the Pioneer did. I just had TV. I know. Not really like the Pioneers did. Shh. But it wasn't horrible. Honestly, it sucked. I didn't get much sleep because I was waking up constantly. And if you ever wake up to your truck shaking, don't do what I did. My truck shook because my mirrors can fold outwards. They didn't break off my driver's side mirror, but they did pretty much the same thing as they did to my passenger side mirror besides breaking it apart. So they did that. I woke up and I walked outside of my truck in my boxers screaming at the dude. Don't do that. Because now you just look like a complete weirdo and lunatic because it's 15 degrees outside and you're in your boxers and yelling at somebody because they hit your truck. So don't recommend doing that. All right. I'm going to grab a cigarette real quick. But throw that one on the ground, apparently. But I had eyes on the road while I was grabbing it. But yeah, I literally walked out my truck in my boxers, 15 degrees outside, and I'm just swearing up and down and calling this dude every name in the book. And he just kind of looked at me and I just, it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I just woke up to my truck shaking. That's good, man. Keep it up. But because if you quit now, you won't do it while driving. I didn't quit before I started driving, and now I probably won't stop. Because if you can control yourself with that, you're good. You know, that's the thing is, this is a really high stress job, especially when you're in cities. Out here, I'm telling you, there's mostly trucks. I'm starting to get into. You don't have a lot of traffic anywhere. Anywhere, there's hardly any traffic, and it's great. And so you can just sit back, jam out to music, and drive in a straight line because for the most part, it's straight. It's just straight road. Yeah, I mean, you haven't really seen me do much of the curves yet, or at all. Once I get into Omaha, it'll be a lot more technical. But yesterday, I was driving in winds that had apparently gust up to 65 miles an hour, but I had to wait for it. I'm not saying do it, but I didn't know about it until I already left my 30-minute break. Two things I will recommend is AccuWeather. It gives you a full thing of the United States radar image, so you can kind of know where what you're getting into. So, um, and then windy.com is what it's called, and it predicts the wind. It's not exactly correct, but for the most part, it's actually pretty spot on. So I should have looked at that. That's my bad, but I was in a hurry to get out of Wyoming because I knew there was weather coming. That's what I'm out running right now. There's storm clouds behind me. It's starting to brighten up through here and everything. Sorry, another Schugle driver. We always try to wave at each other, and because Schugle is very, hi baby, Schugle is very family oriented. We are each other's lifeline out here. We have a page that we can all kind of step away from truck driving world and complain about truck driving world, because there's situations where you're in and this company wastes your time and now you're out of time and all this. You can kind of back off on it for a while and just let it out. Just other drivers that have been in that exact situation, they can kind of give you advice for the next time or anything like that. It's a very family oriented thing. You can literally walk up to another Schugle driver and have a full on conversation with them. You do that a lot with other drivers from other companies too, but mainly you can get a lot from a lot of other Schugle drivers. When I first started out, you have what's called a cover page scan sheet. It tells you, or you tell the company what trailer you were hauling, blah 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 blah. I showed that on one of my last videos, and um, I didn't have that. There was another Schugle driver parked in the same truck stop I was, and I asked him, "Hey, you got any extras?" And he gave me about half a book of them. And then I went home, and I had the ones I had. So now I have plenty of scan sheets. But if somebody asked me for them, I could give them to them and help them out. Or there's a company I haul for a lot called what is it? Grain Millers or Company. It's based out of St. Augusar, Iowa. It's just north of up north there. So I get load straps from them because the company that I haul for or haul to buys the load straps because I'm hauling oats or corn and they're in bags. So you have to hold the load back. So you put the load straps in there. They're like a ratchet strap is what they look like, but they hook into the side of the trailer. So you do that, and then you get, or the company never grabs them. I have like a crap ton of load straps. I've given load straps out to other drivers because they need them because the company won't take them unless they have a load strap, which in my opinion is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. I also have load bars on the back of my truck. Um, I got a free one time. I already had two on here when I got the truck. So I have 3 load bars back there just in case. And those come in handy as well because you might have a low pallet. And so you could set it on the base and then kind of put a load strap up above it and then make your load secure because sometimes you get a partially loaded trailer and now you accelerate and there might be a light pallet in front. Now it slides all the way to the back. It slides to the front. Now you're damaging your product. Now you earn a bad name for yourself and the company. So I always carry load straps on me. I'm always conscious about it. Um, when you're running out west, this time of year they're starting to back off on the chain loft because it's starting to get a little bit warmer. Not much, but um, Colorado for sure has a chain law where you have to have chains in your truck. You don't have to carry them with you. I looked the chain law up to make sure before I ran out here because I was thought you had to have chains to run out here. So um, I always try to stay up on it with that. Um, I'm also very conscious about that because I don't want to damage somebody's product. It's not mine. I don't own it. I'm hauling it. If you break something, you buy it. That's something we all got taught when we were kids, right? You break it, you buy it. I kind of keep that in my head, even though I probably don't buy it. But at the same time, we trace that back to whoever loaded it and made sure it wasn't damaged then, and then that company can pay for it, or we end up paying for it. The company does. So I'm always conscious about it. Sometimes you get free stuff from it because there's too much of it. A couple weeks back, I hauled Arizona iced tea, and there was a case of it that got smashed by the forklift. You could see it. And so I got a case of Arizona gallon jugs iced tea. I gave them out to other drivers. I had one. I drank it just because I didn't need 6 gallons of Arizona iced tea. Um, what else is happening? Um, the other thing I never told you guys is when you have to replace a headlight on the truck because it burns out, they always happen. They're roughly about every year you need to replace, they'll burn out, is what I figured out between my trainer's truck and my truck. Between a year, you need to replace them, which not horrible. Um, so when you do that, the headlights for the Kenworth T680 are H11s. Just a little heads up on that. Um, and so you buy the H11, they're about $34. Well, it's not my truck, not my problem. You can't use the field card, so you have to use your own money. So you take that receipt, write it down. You have to get a PO number from the shop, and so you bug the crap out of them. I didn't do that, but my accounting lady, or my payroll person, did that for me. She was very nice. She's awesome. Um, so I bugged the crap out of, now I know to bug the crap out of the shop. But you scan that in with a PO number and your load number. You need those two things so they know when you bought it, even though it shows a date, but you need a load number on it, otherwise they won't accept it in a PO number. And then they'll refund you your money on the next check. So that's something to be very, very oriented about, is making sure you have that. So I'm always double, triple checking that always. If you ever need to, now they have automatic slack adjusters. So if there's an actual issue with the automatic slack adjuster, you have to get it fixed. If it's a Schugel trailer, I hauled a Super Service trailer the other day that had automatic slack adjusters. We bought out Super Service. The company's selling the trailers off or scrapping them. So what did I do? I had out of adjustment brakes on a Super Service trailer, and I knew it was about done. So I said, we're going to adjust it myself. So off of how it works is you have a air chamber that pushes a piston out, and it twists or pushes on a lever, and it twists an S cam off the slack adjuster. And you turn the slack adjuster, and it adjusts the S cam to put pressure on that. So you turn your slack adjuster, then it turns your S cam, and so it opens your drum or opens your drums more, or your brake shoes to the drum closer. So when you do that, it makes it to where um, it touches the drum and you don't have out of adjustment brakes where one brake's hitting better than the other one or this brake's hitting better than that one. And when you do it, you spin all the way to the right until it's tight, and then you back it off half a turn. So you back it, or say you're here, you're going to turn it 180 degrees, or you're here 180 degrees. So you just back it off 180 degrees, and your brakes are adjusted, and do that to all of them. But if there's an actual problem with the trailer, and it's a nice trailer and everything like that, you wait and get it fixed because of the issue. It's going to be a long-lasting trailer. That's always something you got to do. If it's a nice trailer, like a brand new 2019, the brakes are out of adjustment, which won't happen. But be cautious of that. Or a 2018, 2017, if it's in good looking trailer and it's still in good condition, do it. You have it fixed properly. Because your automatic slack adjusters, how it works is it has like almost like a ratchet. So you hold it and it'll turn like this and lock it into place. As that turns, as it wears down, and it just does this, and it'll wear, and then click, and then wear, click, wear, click. And so that way it's always locked into place. And then when you need new shoes, because now they're putting yellow tape on it at a certain point, and it shows up on the shoe, or when you on your slack adjuster, and that way you know that it's out of or too much. And now you need new brakes on your trailer or on your truck. Oh Lord, Swift driver passing me. Keep it straight, buddy. I'm just trying to think of anything and everything for you guys. I mean, you guys might have questions. Go for it for a minute. I'll answer them. David, what I will say is the Schugel starts out at 42 cents a mile. It's about the best you're going to find for a brand new driver. I recommend it. They don't cap as high as your bigger companies, but they treat you a lot better than your bigger companies. So, about the only other company I would leave Schugel for would probably be TMC, which are a flatbed company, or Hurricane, and they are a reefer and dry van like Schugel. Only reason is because Hurricane has really good looking trucks, for one. Two, they're a smaller company and they pay a little bit better, but they don't have the benefits Schugel's does of the ESOP program where you can invest in the company and make money or own part of the company. So it's just a stock ownership program. That's all ESOP is like when you invest in Apple for iPhones and stuff like that, or you invest in Walmart or stuff like that, you can own part of the stock of it. So Schugel's 100% employee owned. So I try to do that. I'm trying to do that, and it's a really good program for a driver. So that's all I'm worried about, or all I think about right there is that. And TMC, they're a big company. They're based out of Des Moines, Iowa. And the only reason I really want to go for them is because they run Peterbilt 389s. And I'd like to get myself in one of those. But at the same time, I like Schugel. I like where I'm at. I'm not going to leave just because I want to get in a different truck. Not to, this is one of my dreams right here, is driving truck. I won't drive a Volvo because they're gutless. Won't drive I drive a Freightliner. They're good, decent trucks. I drove them when I went to Pinnacle. They were good, decent trucks. Never hauled weight with them, but I've heard a lot of problems with breakdown issues with the Detroit diesel in them. Um, Peterbilt and Kenworth and International are the three I would mainly stick with. I'm looking at getting into an International myself, the International LT. So that's where I'm trying to go. So that's me. Um, but Peterbilt, Kenworth, and International are the main ones I think are good trucks to drive. Never experienced Mac. I drove an International when on my first day. I hauled 44,000 pounds as a test with the reefer. I don't drive reefer. I don't like reefer for two reasons. A lot more hassle, and two, you have no room in the back of your truck. I mean, it's cone shaped, like they're curved on the front so it can pivot, but you can't actually, like, say I needed a low bar. I can't get to it with that reefer motor in the way. So I don't feel like really doing that. Um, that's just me, though. Um, other than that, it's not horrible. I like the styling of the International LT. Let this Dodge Ram pass me so I can let these guys come onto the on-ramp. Oh, they're already going fast enough. Um, so I try to keep myself. I'm trying to work towards the International. The interior stylings, the exterior stylings on the International LT are just awesome, actually. There's an airplane right there. I can literally see it. I can literally read the tail number. There's an airport right here. I'm coming into Omaha. That's the word I was looking for. So, there's been two places I've been to now, where I was in Salt Lake City and I could read the plane. The Delta has apparently they have their name under the airplanes. I was in Salt Lake City and they were flying above my head, and I could literally read Delta under the plane. Another place I was at was over on Chicago. In Chicago, I was just west of Chicago O'Hare Airport, and I could watch planes fly in there. Um, I'm gonna start taking little videos of where I go and like the cool experience, and then make like once a month make a compile or a grouping of the videos, because I can't. Everybody says compilation or contemplation or whatever it is. Compilation. That's how I say it. I'm sorry if I just totally slaughtered it. That's how I say compilation. Sorry, it's just a bunch of videos smushed together, and that way you guys can see, the airplanes flying above my head, or I should have took a video over in Salt Lake City, because Salt Lake City, you're down in a valley. It's like a bowl. You have mountains all the way around you, and it's really cool. Um, but I think I should start doing that once a month too for you guys, and that way you guys can see how the experiences you get to do. Couple weeks ago, over by Norfolk, Virginia. Um, there's a tunnel that goes under the ocean right in the Chesapeake Bay. And the only reason they do that is because they couldn't make a bridge high enough to fit boats under there. It wouldn't be structurally stable. Because an aircraft carrier, you, you can, they probably could have, and they probably could have developed it right, but it was probably honestly cheaper just to go under the ocean and have ships go over you. So I think it's pretty cool to do that. So yeah, they have this big channel that boats go over and you go under the water. So for once in a lifetime, I had a boat over my head instead of being over a boat. So I thought it was pretty cool to do that. Not a lot of people in the world has gotten to do that. Itchy nose. What else have I done that's pretty cool? I mean, when you join Shugel, David, they'll probably fly you out to a terminal unless you're close to one, like New Ulm, Minnesota, Toma, Wisconsin. I think they do orientation there. Ellenwood, Georgia is another one, and then the other one that they have is Columbus, Ohio. But I don't think they do orientation in Toma anymore. So you probably will go to Minnesota, Columbus, or Ellenwood. And I went to New Ulm, even though Columbus was closer to me. They flew me from Grand Rapids. Turn the CB off. You guys don't need to hear that. Flew me out of Grand Rapids Airport. Flew me to Chicago Midway. From Chicago Midway out to Minnesota and Minneapolis. And then I flew from there back to Midway, out to Columbus. Got a taxi from there to the J.R. Shugel terminal to where I met my trainer. And then I drove for about a month and a week, about 6 weeks. 6 weeks, I think I was at. And then I got my own truck in Grand Rapids. I got the last truck that was in Grand Rapids. Had 115,000 miles on it. I have 136,000 on it now. I've put on about 30 or 21,000 miles on this truck in 3 months. So most people drive 10,000 miles in a year. That is the average driver. 10,000 in a year. I'm already double that, working on triple that in 3 months. So be prepared to just go crazy, because you're working. I get really energized because I'm not doing anything. I'm used to a physical labor job. I used to work at the sawmill. And now I'm kind of learning how to back it down and feel like this is my job. But if you're coming from a really physical job, you'll feel really weird for about 3-4 weeks because you're not doing anything. You're just driving down the road. That's what got me at first. Is I'm just like, let's go, let's do something, and couldn't do anything. I went for a walk. I go for walks about every night. I just walk a little bit just to kind of calm down and breathe and relax. And it's a good way to do it is just to do that. Just walk outside the truck, and you don't have to worry about it. Sorry, I had to let somebody in. Um, Now, I can shift the truck manually just by, it's like a slapstick lever where I can let it shift on its own. When I'm hauling heavy, I prefer to let it or shift it myself because I can get a lot more speed out of it and a lot more acceleration because I can max my turbos out. And now I'm kind of stuck between a pickle and a hard space. So I got to keep this thing moving here. I got to stay on I-80 East here soon. Stay in the left 2 lanes, apparently. Okay. But, yeah, I mean, New Jersey, I will tell you this, you won't see a farm field of freaking set of woods anywhere in that state. I hate that state, hate it with a burning passion. But there's money there. A lot of loads going out east. So I prefer to just stay right here. I prefer to run west, honestly. I'd like to stick from like North Carolina, West or Virginia to Pennsylvania is where I'd like to stay. In North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, and all the way over. I don't care. It wouldn't bother me one bit to do that. So I would like to do that instead of anything else. Um, Peterbilt dealership. Another word of advice. If you need your truck fixed, Peterbilt can fix Kenworth because they're the same partner company. They both are the same company. I don't know if Peterbilt owns Kenworth or Kenworth owns Peterbilt, or they're just two companies that joined together. But they are one and the same. So this interior is very similar to the 389 interior. No, not 389. 579, I think. Yeah, 579 interior. It's very similar. The only difference, there's just different styling cues to it. Versus any other company. They're two in the same. How the W900 or W990 came out from Kenworth, which is a W900 with the Kenworth T680 interior. And the I forget what number it is. I think it's something 389 Heritage maybe or something like that. That's the same thing with it's a Peterbilt 389 with the Peterbilt 579 interior. But the 579 has the same interior as the 579 has the same interior as the T680, just different little styling cues to it. The gauge cluster is the same. Very similar interiors. The 389 though has a different interior than the W900. Also, the only other reason I know that Peterbilt are the same is my trainer's truck had a PACCAR engine. Well, Peterbilt owns PACCAR, and there's a PACCAR in a Kenworth. So, very good. They're very good engines, honestly. A lot of good power, good fuel mileage. I am just a diehard Cummins guy, and I really don't care. And if anybody, I swear to God, if you ever hear Cummings come out of somebody's mouth, just call them stupid and walk away or something. I don't know what to say other than that. But not the right word for Cummins. It's Cummins. Kumn or Cummins, Cummins engines. That Cummins, just no. That'd be like me saying Nissan for a Nissan, or Chevrolet for Chevrolet, or people say Porsche, but it's, and other people say Porsche, but that's still kind of in the same, even though it is Porsche. What else can I tell you guys about? How do I like driving an automatic? That'd be a good one here. I really do enjoy the automatic and the aspect of city driving. When I'm just out in the open, it is a pain in the behind. Because the thing will shift in neutral, coast down the hill, and then you get down to like 63, then it adds the throttle as it's going uphill, and then it takes forever to get up to 65. Well, if you're in a manual transmission, that's why I like this thing in manual a lot. And that way I can shift it and tell it when to go out of gear, into gear. But honestly, since I've been doing it manually, I'm getting better gas mileage. Usually I'm sitting around 6 something, and right now I'm getting 9.2 miles to the gallon. On average. Gosh, man. Nebraska's a long state, 411 miles. I've been in Nebraska for 411 miles so far. You can literally spend a whole day here. When I drove out to Wisconsin, I drove from the 34 mile marker plus the 400 and I don't know. I'm just going to go off of 412. That's 434 miles, 36 miles plus 110. That's 100 or to get to Laramie, that was 572 miles. So now I got a rough marker so I can keep an eye on it, on what mile markers are. 470 or 572 miles roughly into Wyoming in one day. It's a really long drive going out west. You spend a whole day in each state basically. Wyoming's, I think, 383 miles through 80 into Utah. And then once you're in Utah, sorry, burp, you got about 80 miles until you're in Salt Lake City. So I try to keep active on my miles and keep a regular one. Right now, I'm backing off my hours because I'm low on them. I'm sticking right around 8 hours a day. So from 11 minus 5 is 6. I've been driving for 6 hours right now, a little more. But I have a Loves up ahead that I'm looking at going to. So that's where I'm going to stop for the night, only because that way I'm in Iowa. I couldn't possibly make it a little bit further, but based off the time, it's 2:41 where you guys are in Michigan, 1:41 in the Central Time Zone, 12:41 and the west or Mountain Time, and then 11:41 over in Western. So, but I have to only drive about 34 miles into uh, Iowa to hit the loves I want to go to. So, anyways, I haven't seen much in the comments. So, I've been just rambling on, seeing if anybody asks me questions. I'm just trying to come up with anything for you guys. Ooh, red and blues. Get over in the fast lane here, or in the one lane over, because here's a cop. Now they're coming out with cop cars that have arrow boards on the back or arrow directions, and it just is amber lights that go this way or this way. They're really cool, actually, and are really safe to do, because if they're in the middle lane, somebody might go to the left, but they want them to the right. So it adds a little more direction to it. I wish this thing would stay put for you guys. Really do. Oh man. But if you guys don't have any more questions here, we've been doing this for an hour now. That's usually where I like to stay. What I'll do is go ahead and get off, and thank you, David, because that was honestly my very first interactive one-on-one with an audience. So thank you for asking really good questions and actually being interactive with me. It was a very big thing for me, and normally I just have my wife on here watching me, supporting me, and so I really appreciate you being on here, man. So David Peters, thank you, and keep on trucking. Go get your CDL. If you always have questions, leave a comment, like and subscribe, only because that tells YouTube for other people to watch me, and that helps me get my voice out, my opinion on what's going on in the trucking industry. So that way I can help you guys out, and subscribe, and keep the rubber side down. Darn thing wants to break. There we go. Come on. Stop.